It's not long to wait now until the 2023 Rugby World Cup in France gets underway with what is an absolute firecracker to kick us off. France versus New Zealand. One of the biggest games of the tournament is happening on the first day. Late Friday night for us in England and in France. The French will take on, an injury-struck French team will take on the All Blacks, who are coming off of what is a record defeat against South Africa. That being said, New Zealand will put that behind them and will sort of depend upon the form that they had going into that South Africa game to hopefully draw out what will have to be pretty much a best 100% form performance to beat a very strong French team at home. Now, it's sort of written in the stars for the French to come away victorious from this game, considering it is their home World Cup. They're in their favoured stadium in front of all of their fans. The referee. I never say referees have favourites, obviously not, but when that French crowd stands up and roars at the television screen, you'll tend to see the decisions go the way of the home team. So look, I think it is in front the French favour to win the game, but it's going to be one hell of a contest. Now, just skimming through the teams, the French team, as I said, has been struck with some injuries. The likes of Dante are having to be swapped for Moefana. Now, Moefana had a good stint in the Six Nations. He's a classy player himself, but Dante just adds something, just a little bit special to that French team. The French front row as well, missing Cyril Bay, with Wardy coming in, who's he's not had the masses of game time in that French forward pack to sort of bed himself in. That being said, there is plenty of strength throughout the French team. You've got Marchand, hooker, looking to hit Woki and Flamant in the second rows. The lineup's going to be one brilliant contest, I have to say. Two real classy second rows of Woki and Flamant against Whitelock and Scott Barrett. Talking about the second rows being good, the back rows is probably even a step above that. You've got two of the best number 8s in the world, Gregory Aldrit taking on Ardie Savea, two incredible players. Aldrit being probably some of the more work rate, ball carrying number 8, with Ardie Savea being able to do it all, and his carrying is just so tenacious. The point I'm trying to get across is Aldrit probably does a little bit more quantity of work. He's sort of the main French ball carrier, whereas Ardie Savea, although he is a dominant ball carrier amongst the All Blacks pack, he sort of prides himself on the beating of defenders, the turnovers, and the just sheer aggression of his game. Not to take anything away from him being a skillful player also. Outside of those two big number 8s in the back row, you've also got Olivon against Sam Cane, one absolute brilliant contest. Quite an experienced back row for New Zealand. I mean, Sam Cane and Papali'i are the captains of their domestic teams back in New Zealand in Super Rugby. Sam Cane of the Chiefs and Papali'i of the Blues, the Auckland Blues. Now, moving into the backs, you've got absolutely class in both back lines. Dupont partners Jalibert. This isn't the partnership that the French would have liked to go on to this game with the injury, unfortunately, to Ntamack. Dupont and Ntamack is arguably the best 9-10 combination in the world rugby at the moment. So disappointing for the French, but Jalibert is not a bad replacement. The 10 from Bordeaux is one hell of a player, potentially a little bit more attacking than his injured Ntamack. So maybe that makes for a better game. See more running rugby as opposed to boot to ball. Maybe that'll even play into the All Blacks' favour. I'm sure the All Blacks would love to draw the French into an open, expansive game, as opposed to where really the French should try and keep it as a set-piece dominant game and only attack when they're ready. Aaron Smith on the other side of the All Blacks, an incredible player, the most experienced player on the pitch, I believe. If you compare him and Dupont is sort of Aaron Smith, and maybe potentially a little bit better Aaron Smith of sort of 5-10 years ago. Aaron Smith to this day though still providing that world-class front foot ball for all of his players. Just the incredible repetition of his passes being of just such high quality will be really important for the All Blacks to attack off of that. Now, Mo'unga, just comparing the 10s of Jalibert and Mo'unga, both two attacking 10s. Now, Mo'unga potentially is the more controlled of the All Black fly half options. Richie Mo'unga is just he's got to be the best, or if not one of the top 2-3 fly halves in the world. Potentially Finn Russell rivaling him, Pollard potentially. I probably missed someone out there, but you get the point. He's an incredibly talented player. Moving into the French centres, I mentioned Moefana coming in for Dante. A little bit of quite a considerable blow for France, really, considering the difference in gain line that Dante can bring. Any sort of Moefana, he's quality 12. Like, I'd have him at my club team of Saracens. I'm sure any decent club outfit would be loving to have him in their team. But when you get to the international level, I'd say Dante does add that a little bit more. Fickou, the French defensive captain, partners him. Brilliant defensive number 13, one of the best out there, probably up there with Chris Harris in terms of defensive positioning. Definitely a great experienced player, and offers a lot of probably a psychological edge to that French team. It's always important to have a defensive player that's just so passionate, especially in the back line, where focus can almost be not necessarily on defence, more on attack. So Fickou's definitely worth his weight in that team. Now, looking at the back line for the back three for France, Villiers, the sort of the mould of, not saying he's the same level, but the sort of Colby style, he's just incredible, really. He's got a brilliant ability to not only attack and score brilliant tries, but his ability to get over the ball and win turnovers. He's just, once again, he's kind of like a mini Ardi Sarver, super tenacious, really aggressive, and brilliant player to watch. Penaud, probably the best, if not one of the best wingers in the world at the moment, can just finish sublimely. He knows when to use his sort of Jacob Stockdale chip and chase. I mean, Stockdale had brilliant, reaped his rewards of a brilliant chip and chase in 2018. Penaud's almost using that to his effect. He's really good at dropping that ball onto that right peg and beating the defenders to it. So Penaud, incredibly evasive and great attacking player that the likes of Jalibert will look to be unleashing. Now, Ramos at fullback, probably one of the most valuable French players, and he's just phenomenal. Not only can he play the sort of quality 15 role of solid in the air and a good defender, he can also kick goal kick. Now, Jalibert is an exceptional goal kicker, but Ramos is just a level above any goal kicker. Probably Jaminet is the only goal kicker that can rival him, and he's on the French bench actually. So look, the French are spoilt for quality goal kicking, but yeah, Ramos is just exceptional. Now, moving into the All Blacks side, I've touched on quite a few of these players already, but De Groot, Taylor and Laulala, really strong front row. As I said in previous videos, I've always spoken about how the All Blacks have really tightened up on their set piece, and that'll be something they'll be utilising in this game to make sure the French don't gain an upper hand. Now, I think, especially considering the time of day, it's a nighttime game, potentially a slippy ball, both teams will really want to keep an eye on that set piece, make sure they're really stable. So I think that's crucial for the All Blacks, who've shown good improvement in that area of late, probably barring the South Africa game actually, in which they got physically dominated. Into the second rows, Whitelock and Scott Barrett. Scott Barrett, very fortunate to avoid a ban for his dropping of the shoulder against Malcolm Marx, I believe it was, in that South Africa game. Good to see him back, because you don't want to see big names banned. Now, moving into the All Blacks back row, as I say, experience all over the park, and an incredible balance of Papali'i, Kane and Sarver, quality all over the shop. Now, Papali'i is coming in for Shannon Frizzell, who's probably the number one choice in New Zealand, but Papali'i is quality in his own right. Now, I've spoken about Smith and Mo'unga at 9 and 10, but just to touch on the centre combination. Now, Leonard Brown's coming in into the centre partnership for Geordie Barrett. Now, I'm not too sure why this is. This is kind of unexpected. I thought Geordie Barrett was playing really well, so maybe I've missed something in previous games. Maybe there's an injury or a ban or something. I can't remember off the top of my head. But he partners Rieko Ioane. The infamous Rieko Ioane pace will definitely be on display, and the likes of Fickou will definitely have to keep an eye on shutting down Rieko Ioane in the outside channels. Make sure you limit his ball. And now the just unbelievably dangerous back three of Taylor, Jordan and Beauden Barrett. Now, these players must be kept quiet if the French are going to go on to win this game. Now, Taylor and Jordan didn't really feature in the South Africa game. That was because of the ability for South Africa to keep them quiet via suffocating the amount of ball they get. Now, the French must do the same, because if Taylor, Jordan of the Blues and Crusaders alike get their hands on the ball, they can be deadly. Beauden Barrett at fullback, previously mentioned it's not his preferred position, but he's really grown into the 15 jersey for New Zealand and offers that second playmaker role, which will help them to unleash the likes of Taylor and Jordan. Now, this is shaping up to be an incredible game. The previous encounter was in November 2021, in which France came out 15 points favourites with a 40-25 victory. Now, I anticipate things to be a little bit closer this time, considering the stakes of the game. Now, both these two teams are likely to get out of the pool, considering the next best in the pool is Italy. They're both back themselves to qualify, but you'd have to say that it's all about creating the momentum and the confidence in their style of play. So look, I expect France to just edge this game. It could come down to to goal kicking, which I believe is the part in which they can excel. Maybe it'll even come down to the bench. Good matchups on the bench are Malvaca versus Takiaho coming on for France and New Zealand. Two of the similar sort of mould hookers, just incredible power between them. Luku of the French, I don't know whether to call it a 6-2 split because it's not really, but it depends where Luku comes on. Incredible talent. I mean, the ability to be able to come on in the backs and the forwards is just beyond me. Like, that's just what a phenomenal athlete Luku is. And Jaminet also is one of the star names on the French bench. And if Ramos gets injured, fear not, you have an incredible replacement in Jaminet. In terms of the All Blacks, I mentioned Takiaho, but Finlay Christie will be coming on for them to add some speed of ball potentially if they're down in the late stages of the game. He'll be crucial to up the tempo and replace Aaron Smith to really take it to the French. So look, this is going to be one hell of a game. In terms of the bookies, they've got it straight down the middle, 50% either way. They don't know who's going to win. I'd edge it towards the French, but I would not be surprised if the All Blacks, as the All Blacks famously do, turn up in the World Cup. So look, this is going to be one hell of a game. I'm incredibly excited. It's going to be one hell of a World Cup in general, and what a game to kick it off. Absolute blockbuster, just incredible game. And look, what you're going to see on Friday night is one hell of an atmosphere. As an English player, English supporter myself, we don't get that good atmospheres at Twickenham, and this will really show the RFU of England, English Rugby Union, how to put on a test match, and the sort of environment and the sort of gladiatorial feel that they'll be in the arena on Friday night. It's going to be one hell of a watch. And look, if you're not overly into your rugby, I definitely recommend tuning in. Not necessarily for the rugby itself, but what an event it's going to be. I suppose there'll be an opening ceremony of sorts, but yeah, it's been one hell of a match, and I hope you enjoy. Leave your predictions in the comment section down below. I believe the French will just edge it, but yeah, let me know what you think. And yeah, see you in the next one.